Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. Back with another one. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what's going on here. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, the 49th edition. I got it confused the last time I streamed and all this other stuff. We'll be back in it. We'll be back in it. Nope. Select entertainment. No, no, no. This how to do style. Yeah. All right. They been loud. Doing that. Yeah. Yeah. Back at it again. Yeah, let's talk about the 83-point game with Bam. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. It's a lot going on. Yeah, we got a PSYOP war. I'm not gonna mention it in the conflict over there in Asia, West Asia. Y'all know specifically what I'm talking about. I will not be discussing that. It's irrelevant. If you're one of those people that visit this platform, I'm not gonna talk about it. It's a little politics, yeah, but the election's important. United States, I'll talk about the rest of the world. I don't care about. It's number psyops everywhere, so I'm not going to speak on that because we know the situation. It's kind of irrelevant anyway. So um, I see right through that. And the e-files are dangerous. You know how it is. People don't want to talk about that because you got a lot of fucking simps and cowards and idiots that want to destroy this country. But they're all on the take. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care what people think. I really don't care. Because I'm at the point I'm over it, but I understand why people are weak. You know what I mean? But let's talk about the 83-point game. I've saw a lot of responses of people. I did saw two games last night. We're gonna talk a little sports and a little politics today in sports and other things, how the world is shifting and people are moving away from stuff, and talk a little bit of entertainment about 50, Ti has a better catalog than 50. 50 only made two great albums, and people was dead wrong. And we're gonna talk about the X Space, which are formerly known as Twitter Spaces, later in the stream. But we're gonna talk about this Bam out of Bayou. This guy was impressive. Now, 83 points is somewhat impressive. Nobody can score like that, right? I'm gonna show y'all something. I'm gonna show y'all something. I'm gonna show y'all something about this dude. And his name is very interesting. His name is very interesting. We're gonna share some. Shouts out to Wikipedia.org. You can find his name is Bam Adebayo, but his real name is Edris Femi. His nickname was Bam Bam Adebayo, but this is the guy that scored 83 points. Now, this guy's been in the league for a couple of years. He was drafted 2017 and present. So he's been drafted since 2017 now. 2017 to let's calculate that because that's approximately what. So 2017 subtract 9 years. He's been in the league 9 years. He has a shot to become a champion, and he's already a three-time NBA All-Star. One during the pandemic, one in 2023, and also in 2024. So he's an All-Star 2 years ago. Three-time All-Star. He wasn't All-Star this year or last year. He's a three-time All-Star. Now he can get the All-Star again if he keeps being consistent. I wish he was more consistent and everything, but I did saw half of the game. They say he scored like 31 points in the first half, and that's how he got it. And then most of his points came a lot of free throws. They kept fouling him in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. That's what I heard. But I did see the clips of the fourth quarter. I was watching the Spurs and the Celtics that game. I watched the whole game on that one, and then my Pistons. I switched back on the tab. I was watching the Nets, formerly known as the New Jersey Nets, but they're known as the Brooklyn Nets now. And they got blown out by a lot of points. They got blown out by 138 points. They had 100. That was a blowout. And yes, It's a lot of 100-point games. The Sixers and the Grizzlies, 129, 139, beat them by 10 points. A lot of 100-point games. And the biggest one, the 100-point game I've seen was the Wizards and the Heat. That's why it's most talked about. 150 to 129, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. All them 3 points and less defense. That says about the modern NBA today. Lakers had a good margin. Hell, the Spurs had a good margin, 125 and 116 with Boston. Now that game could have went different if Jaylen Brown didn't get ejected. Everybody had a 100-point game and all across the board in the NBA. It's impressive. But this guy right here that's talked about all over the internet scored 83 points. And a lot of people try to say is Wilt, Bam, and Kobe. A lot of people don't like the way it sounds. Well, that's put an indictment on the league. That says a lot about people that's being ignorant about the sport. See, people forget that it's been watered down for so many years, and I think people just get caught up in the moment. I think people just need to stop and wait and think that the league's been corrupt for so long. And yeah, Adam Silver's being investigated by the feds, whatever. And you got to look at this thing like, man, what is going on with the NBA? And this is the modern NBA, and I blame casuals. And let's read The Guardian. Let's read The Guardian. I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it. Shouts out to the team in Telegram. And it just goes to show you that there's a lot of haters in the world. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not hating on the game. I kind of can't stand the Wizards. The Wizards did this and they gave y'all this type of game. Think about it. The Wizards are at fault. They just didn't play defense and they didn't even try. Let's read the article on The Guardian. Shouts out to the information. The Guardian says Bam Adebayo just scored 83 points in a game. Was it down to brilliance or stat padding? Let's read it. The Miami Heat star scored the second most points in a game in the NBA history, or Tuesday night. That was yesterday, Tuesday night. Some may question exactly how he got there. Second in points, last in ethics. That will be the accusation against the Miami Heat and Bam Adebayo. They should blame the Wizards for that, for giving them that game and the stat pattern. That should be the Wizards' fault right there. That's all they fault. They're a trash team. And I don't want to hear people say Kobe didn't play against a trash Raptors team, which they were. They wasn't good enough to go to a championship. You know how that was. After the big man moved into the second on the NBA single game scoring list with 83 points against the woeful Washington Wizards on Tuesday. But Adebayo surpassed the 81 points that Kobe Bryant scored in a 2006 game, or 2006 or 2006 game, left only Wilt Chamberlain with 100 points in a game in 1962, ahead of him of all-time list. But the Heat won 150 to 129 if you watch the whole game. I didn't watch the replay. I watched the fourth quarter when they showed him scoring 83 points. Okay? This is a guy that's a three-time All-Star that's scoring a lot of points like that. It's a lot of points like that. And it's interesting that he is kind of half Nigerian, by the way. But he's born in New Jersey. He's from Newark, New Jersey, right? But he went to that high school in North Carolina, but he went to Kentucky University, a Kentucky guy. His college career was not bad. It's not bad. He's a double guy. Average 19 a game, 20 rebounds. He's very efficient. Three-time All-Star, right? And this is a guy that played with, I believe, Hassan Whiteside. A lot of people don't know that. He played with Hassan Whiteside and all that. Yeah, he was part of the World Cup 2019. And it just goes to show you, yeah, his whole career was all Miami. He's been a Miami Heat. It's going to be a decade if he keeps playing. About 9 years. Playoffs, he's been in the playoffs since 2018, 2020, in the bubble. 2021, they went to the finals they went to the conference finals, but they went to the finals in 2020, lost to LeBron. They should have won that, but Jimmy got caught up. And they also went to the finals again in 2023 against Jokic. Now, they should have won that way, the 8th seed. That'd have been crazy if they did. They close. Bam would do something like that. Can you imagine if he does that this year with the Heat? And even though they're the 6th seed, they got to win a couple more games. He had a year in college. He was one and done. He's from that one and done era, 2017 draft. So Bam was drafted the 14th pick. I remember seeing this draft too in 2017 draft. Not the 20, but I remember that 2017 draft with Lonzo Ball. He was drafted the year Lonzo Ball was drafted. I remember him drafting the 14th pick, and now look at him, a three-time All Star, been to the finals. This dude scored 83 points. This guy right here is impressive, and that's the whole thing about this guy right here. What's going on? What's going on, Khalil? Salute, salute. And it's just goes to show you that this guy is something else. Now I ain't saying he's a great player. He's a good all star. I'll say it like that. But man, nobody expect him to score 83 points. Nobody. Because if you think about it, 83 points is a lot of points. That's a lot of points for anybody to score nowadays. You got to look at what this man has done. I think the fact that he scored that many points says a lot about the league. And this dude is unbelievable. Yeah, I talked about him in the article. And this is incredible. I'm still reading it. It says 129 and basketball watchers quickly turned their attention to the most skeptical, cynical line of questioning possible. Was Adebayo's achievement sold by the Heat's decision to build their game plan around letting him pack that stat sheet as much as possible in a long decided contest? But on the record sheet, the answer will be no. But as most people in the NBA will well know, that stat line takes a distant second place to fans, perception of players and their accomplishments, and the manner in which the Heat helped Adebayo to get 83 will be under a microscope for a long time. But here's the thing: it reads right here on the bottom. It says, on one hand, anyone who takes issue with Adebayo scoring 83 points, more than the entire Milwaukee Bucks team managing the game earlier this month, is a pandemic loser. They call them pandemic losers. They call y'all losers. This league holds 1,230 regular season games each year, just among starting players. That works out into 12,300 individual games per year. Exactly. One of those opportunities in the whole history of the NBA has yielded more points than Adebayo put on the Wizards on Tuesday. Objectively, there is no such thing as cheap way to do something that no player other than Wilt has ever done. Moreover, Adebayo's 43 field goal attempts are not a major outlier. Well, that's true. It's not a major outlier. That's what it says, right? Chamberlain put up hilarious 63 shots in his 100-pointer. Bryant, 46 on the night that scored 81. Adebayo was also busy in other respects. He pulled down a game-high 9 rebounds. He had 9 rebounds, with 8 of them coming on defense in his 42 minutes. See, he's a defensive rebounder. He shows great. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. 8 of them come from, yeah, I said a rebound. Yeah, the most any player on the court, but it's not like the 28-year-old was slacking on the other end. He wasn't. He was scoring. He's a well-balanced player. He's a defensive player, but he's well-balanced. And he plays both ends on the basket. And he destroyed my Pistons the other night, and he's been on a roll. And this is one of them games. They're gonna be the 5th or 4th seed before you know it. Because this is right around the playoffs time. They're gonna be in the lineup in the playoffs. They're gonna be a tough out in the first round. Whoever plays them. If Bam keeps playing like that and be consistent, do not be surprised if you get those type of points. But Tyler Hill, they're on fire. And if they're healthy, they're gonna be dangerous to beat. They got to be serious about it because they've been to the finals before. They see the blueprint. They see the blueprint. So you know how it is. So it's not like 20. Okay. On the other hand, what fun would sports would be if we couldn't spend time, energy tearing players down on the occasion of their grandest achievements. Whereas Adebayo game reaches the theater of the absurd is at the foul line, but the previous record for free throw attempts in an NBA game was 39, reached twice by Dwight Howard during the Hacker Howard era in 2012, 2013. I remember that era. It's a crazy era, right? Hack, was it Hacker Howard era? Let me see. Yeah, however, the teams knew that Howard wouldn't make much more than 6 and 10 free throws, but then felt fine sending him to the strike to make 21 and 25 out of 39 shots on those respectable nights. Adebayo took a new record, 43 free throws on Tuesday, and to his credit, made 36 of them. Nothing dishonorable about cashing in on one's opportunity. To me, free throws is very important when you play basketball. I don't know. See, people that haven't played basketball don't understand, but free throws is very, very important. Free throws is very, very important. I don't know what people don't understand. Once you take it to the cup and put pressure on the rim, um, it's unbelievable, man. Like, I know it's not impressive for the real hardcore ballers out there, but still, that's impressive to me because nobody can do that nowadays. Now, he does play defense out of all the people that said this is a defenseless league, which is some truth to that, but he's doing more effort than most. In the 90s, he would average the same numbers. If you put him in the right system, he would be the guy. I'm sorry. It's just the free throw things is ridiculous. Yeah, it's like almost like a video game almost, but I blame the Wizards for being so trash. He would have got 43 free throws. That's a fact. And then now I don't question it. I think he did it in game plan. He hit free throws on and just in the game. Why would he do it like Brian and Will Chamberlain? Because he's not those guys. Those guys are superstars. The difference with Bam is he was a regular all-star that did it and showed you, yes, I can score 83 points. He's capable of doing that. Most people didn't think he was capable of doing that. Yeah, he could score like the most I've seen him score was like 30 points. Sometimes he has a 40 piece one time, and then he was a 19-20 guy. He gets 20 points all the time. Sometimes he'll get 30, 40 if he blows the team out, if it's out of reach. But him to score that many points is ridiculous. And I blame the Wizards for that, for their bad defense, bad possessions, because it was a good game. Everybody tried to say it was a good game in the first quarter. I had to see the first two replays of that. I don't know, but it's kind of crazy, though. But the way he did it, man, it was just nasty. And 83 points is a lot. In today's NBA, that would be considered a lot. 81 is one thing, but 83, that's video game numbers. That's video game numbers. That's like 2K numbers or some shit. But 43 free throws. A lot of people try to say that's not impressive. Well, free throws are impressive if you hit 43 times and they keep fouling you at the end of the second half, which is crazy. And to his credit, made 36 of them, but nothing dishonorable about catching opportunities. Okay. Well, maybe there is. When a player's team turns the late stages of the game into a joke, whose sole purpose to run it up one guy's numbers at the foul line. In the fourth quarter, Adebayo was 3 for 8 from the field and a gruesome 1 and 6 from the 3-point line. Yeah, most of his other points came from threes. He shoots threes too. He's a 3-4 level scorer player that was one and done in 2017. These one and done players changed the NBA. Remember those players one and done before the college contracts became a thing, the NIL became a thing. That's why you start seeing them doing greatness now in this era. That's a finesse era. The NBA has changed since forever. LeBron ruined it, and half of it was success with this guy. So again, 1 and 6 from the line, but he kept feeding him, and the Wizards kept fouling him, sending him to the line. That would normally be no big deal, but except Miami leading by nearly 30 points in the final few minutes, repeatedly fouling the Wizards to speed up their possessions and get the ball back. But Adebayo hit 14 of 16 foul shots in the final 12 minutes. Even that doesn't fully explain how fractional Miami's effort to get Adebayo's 83 to 83 was, but the Heat simply gave Adebayo the ball and had him run up the steam ahead at the Washington Basketball, taking a low percentage shots that may or may not led to a foul call. But in just the final 5 minutes of the game, that was like final 5 minutes or 4 minutes of the game, whatever you want to say it, that was long over, and went 1 for 5 from the field, but 7 of 7 at the foul line. With this first points coming at the line with the 116 and the left to push the lead to 150 to 126, you have to watch the video for yourself. But to understand how uninterested the Heat were in playing anything resembling a regular offense, at the end of the game, it was a pure stat sheet stuffing. But that's a fair argument, okay? Which paid off in Bucks when Adebayo nailed his 42nd and 43rd attempts from the stripe. But the Heat's head coach Eric Spoelstra had the decency to sub Adebayo out 8 seconds later to the big fella have inch to pass Brian on the scoring list. It was not much different than a 10-year-old get a 10-year-old gamer trying to run up the gaudy totals against a CPU after school. And here we go again with this shit. You know what I'm saying? But nothing means that okay, none of this means Adebayu's night wasn't extraordinary. It was. 83 points is huge. That's something to talk about on both sides. Both arguments to be valid all across the internet. 83 is the highest point total in the league's three-point era. Three-point era. They call it the three-point era since 1979. And for a four and peep this, he's a front court player by it. That's what they call them. Front court players will be like centers and power forwards, what they call them today. Front court players. These forwards and these centers for a front court player to get there is truly out of this world. Only Joel Embiid in 2024 and David Robinson in 1994 have even gotten the 70 among the big men in that span, but neither cleared 71. Adebayo excellently rather than an all-time great player had a great enough game that historians won't be able to ignore him. But the manner in which he got it into the record books means that haters will still hate. Perhaps he'll go for 84 sometime. And yeah, this is by the Guardian. And I gotta say, Bam is one of them dudes, man. If I was him, I'll get into a playoff run with him. If I was him, I would take this serious. You know, if you score 83 points, it's gonna go up to 20 points per game because of that point. He's gonna have to be consistent on the boards because Miami ain't got much but Norman Powell and Wiggins and a lot of guys are hurt too. But if the Heat stay healthy, oh, Bam is your guy. He's your guy forever. Because what Bam does for a team, he just makes sure that everybody's not on um, the deep end of the BS. So when you talk about Bam, man, it's like this. I salute him for what he did. Like I know he enjoyed himself. I know he enjoyed that stat pattern. But man, oh man, he's a hero down there in Miami for what he did. Now the Miami Heat has something to talk about, and I like that organization. I always like the Miami Heat. I don't hate them, but I don't like the LeBron's Miami Heat. But I do like the Alonzo Mourning and the early Dwayne Wade's Miami Heat. So yeah, man, this is something to think about. It's something to talk about. But that's the most talk about in the NBA right now. Is his 3 point, his free throw shooting, and all this other stuff. I mean, it's wild, man. I know people gonna hate regardless, but you got to look at it like this. Bam is the most talked about right now, probably on ESPN and all over. A lot of people just say, I wouldn't call these people haters. I would just say people are just Kobe fans are emotional, and LeBron fans are too. So, it is what it is. But I'm not rating down on this parade how you got those points, man. I was just want to talk about that today, but it's everything extraordinary. Get us away from that nonsense overseas, man, and the propagandas that's been over there spewing. So I say fuck all governments at this point because they just spewing BS right now. I just don't. I ain't got time for it, bro. It's a lot of BS in the world. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying nothing bad or anything, but man, it's crazy. But you get to a point you like it's crazy what the people in the internet world, these streamers, they so lame as hell and they don't have no creativity. They just like the clickbait and spew bullshit, lying about politics, but they don't study philosophy, which they don't. Most of these people are stupid. They just in it for the BS. So and I'm just Let's see what's going on here. But yeah, man. Yeah, because he scored a lot of points. That's what we was talking about today, just now, And I just want to talk about a lot of stuff, but the politics stuff I'm just gonna cut out because the war, is divide people and stuff like that. So I'm not here for that. Because I understand what people are on, they on that BS and want to side with these double agents online. Because you got a lot of agents on the internet that already hijacked the internet. So don't feed into the BS because what they're doing is they're dividing the people. So don't fall for it. Never fall for that nonsense. Ever. Because what's going to happen is people are going to be divided into skirmishes and shit. And Sarge broke this down too about the so-called white man, man. He's been fucking up so many times. It's not even funny, man. But I'm glad this great distraction of the game had helped us get away from the BS that we're seeing. See, me personally, I think the 83 points is sketchy. Yes, it looks stat paddish. Both sides are absolutely right, but the problem is in today's era, it's a finesse league. They don't want you to play violent defense like they did back in the 90s and the 2000s. Even if you want to go further back when the NBA wasn't properly mechanicked. I don't care what nobody say. Before it was called the NBA, basketball was very different back then. I don't think people realize the 40s was very violent. They didn't play this way. And I told you about they had 3 seconds of the key, that came from George Mikan. See, a lot of these people don't know George Mikan crowd the area. And once they invented the 3 seconds of the key rule, he wasn't able to do the stuff he wanted to do. So you got to understand, George Mikan was that guy. He was the standard. What basketball was. Some people get it caught up and get it effed up that they had the wider lanes for Will Chamberlain. He was another one. He played exactly what Mikan did when they added 3 seconds of the key. He understood that, and that was his game. But once they widened the lanes, they was trying to change the rules against Chamberlain because he's so dominant they couldn't stop him in the 60s. See, in the 40s, somewhere around the 50s, Mikan was something. But after that, it's just like he invented the 3 seconds of the key. And someone mentioned that on YouTube in one of those videos, basketball videos in history. That's how that became because Mike kept crowding the lane. A lot of people don't know that, man. They assume they know basketball, but if you do research, see, I used to read about them um, in library books. I used to read about these dudes, and it was incredible. And he died 2005 at the age of 80. So George Mikan died in 2005. So he died when I was 17. He died when I was 17 years old. I've been knowing about him for years, and he was 80 years old when he passed. He was 80. He was born in Joliet, Illinois, 1924, but he lived to be 80 years old, so he passed away. George Mikan, Mr. Basketball, known as Lawrence Mikan Jr., even though he died in June 1st, 2005, known as Mr. Basketball in the 40s. 6'10, 245. Yes, that man was a hell of a player in his day. He went to DePaul Blue Demons, right? He went to DePaul, not DePaul in Indiana or something like my dad was saying. There's two DePauls, but this DePaul Blue Demons, that's where dude came from. They known as the Blue Demons. So yeah, Naismith, George Mikan, that's a whole nother. Don't get me started. That's a good school too. There's a lot of players that came out of DePaul in the NBA, but he was a center at the time. And I just looked him up for y'all. Like, yeah, y'all want to know? He died in Arizona back in 05. So that's a long time ago. Yes, he's a 5-time NBA champion, 49, 50, 52. Yeah. Yeah, he won 1951. He also won 1949. And no, he didn't win 1951. Excuse me. He didn't win. Okay, he won 1950. He back to back and he three-peated. He won 1952, 53, 54. That was George Mikan. He's a two-time NBL champion. He's a two-time NBL champion. That's before it became the NBA, that was probably with the two-time NBL champion. That was probably with the Chicago American Gears. Probably, yeah, with the Gears. I think in 47, that was with the American Gears. He also in 48, that was with the Minneapolis Lakers, or they was known as the Detroit something. There was the Detroit Gems. I think they were the Detroit Gems when he won that. It was the NBL. He was with the Minneapolis Lakers and ABA, two different leagues. And he was coaching the Minneapolis Lakers in 57 and 58. Because remember, he used to be a coach for the Lakers too. He's a Lakers legend. So his points per game is 22.6 points per game. Rebound is 13.4 per game. His assist ratio is 2, of course, but he's a big man. You know, he smothered the rim, and that's how he played. You know, that's one of them days in the Midwest. So he's gone. You know, George Mikan, that was a great Laker. But I bring this up to say that the NBA has changed, man. And I bring this back full circle. It's a finesse league, 3-point shooting league. So it's just a whole culture of that. I don't know why people don't understand that, but you know, I just looked that up on the wiki. But you know what I'm saying. But motherfuckers will be, you know, have this nostalgia. They want to go back to Jordan. Jordan, them days is over. So what I'm saying is 83 points is a lot of points in today's game. It's amazing for the younger generation. They don't understand proper basketball. They just like this finesse, fast-paced 3-point shooting basketball. They think this is real basketball, but in reality, it's not. It's just a finesse version of not playing defense. And I think that's the problem with people. They get caught up in the moment, in the silliness, and they just like say, "Oh, this is how basketball's supposed to play," but not really. It's not how it's supposed to play. Not, no sir, no sir. And it's just crazy. It's just what it is, man. I just don't understand. Oh, it's crazy. That's a lot going on today. I mean, people still talking about that 83 points, but yeah, let me say something about casuals on the internet. Casuals on the internet are ignorant. Then every platform, every so-called social media platform, or should I say social networking platform, they has been pathetic. The internet has been pathetic for the last decades. I have never seen this much casual in this era in the 2020s, right? In the 20s of the 21st century has been so trash, and they have this weak ass nostalgia trying to say everything was great. I call bullshit. No, it was not. Not on the internet. Offline it was, but the internet, hell no. You had a bunch of suckers back then. You had some real people on the internet that bring real life events coming on and show data. A lot of people call it data, sound ignorant, but data about stuff, and they right. But a lot of these people lie about black folks don't murder each other or kill each other in crime statistics, and that's been the standard. A lot of people try to, and these clowns and these podcasters and these streamers trying to say that never happened. Niggas, yes, it did. You don't know shit about America, and this dude Don is a fucking idiot. When he mentions black people never kill each other, yes, they have. Stop it. And a lot of this self hatred is programming us anyway. It's like that in his own country. He fled from Jamaica like a coward. His dad was a coward, and let me tell you something. They fled. They act like they know shit about us. No, you don't. You're a dumbass. Shouts out to my people, my yard man, Jamaica man. You know, I don't hate those people. I hate his type that's brainwashed that went to these schools in Florida, like any school. Like, I don't care if it's Florida or in the South, they get brainwashed in the South, right? And this is what they do to people that immigrate over here and brainwash them. I see this all the time. I went to school with certain immigrants that come from California, and they, even though people was from Sudan, I learned a lot from them. They always have their little spaces. Even I saw this in middle school. We was cool with them. Even I've met some in elementary at one time in 5th grade. That was one person, and I told y'all the story. I think his name was Wang Tut, right? Whole nother story on that. I just said it on a vlog stream outside in my backyard, and I mentioned that, and I'm going to bring this back full circle. They get here and they get brainwashed. Now some of them come around, but the rest of them get brainwashed. What they say about us, man? It's insanity. I seen this in high school. Once I left high school, I hadn't seen them in years, but I went to school with them. I understand the culture. But guys like this, Don, you know, he's Jamaican. He lived in Jamaica his whole life and then come to the States later on. He's been brainwashed by the American BS. And he's got personal issues. He told on himself on his stream. Yeah, they had their own enclaves. That's right. That's right. They have that. I saw it firsthand in early 2000s. Even early 2000 when I saw my first Hamite or African, which you would call today, was in 2000 in 5th grade. And then middle school, I saw plenty of them competing with Mexicans where I'm from, originally from Tennessee. But damn, you know what I'm saying? But that's culture back then. Now it's like they done been ingrained with the BS, with the drill music and the same sexual shit. It's over. It's over at this point. They can't tell me about nothing about life. You know what I'm saying? They've been exposed to the American BS, but most of them grew up with like he's right about, but he's wrong about other shit. No, they have their problems too. I pick and choose who I talk to, but customer base, I had a diverse clientele when I was a barista for 2 years from a franchise dealership. I was working in an organization, not with them, alongside them. I worked with them as partners. So I'm saying I did that shit for 2 years, man. Got paid good money. But at the time, man, it's just a cultural thing. So people got to understand that was back then. Now it's like they've been reformed. And see, last year they like to lie about the past. And that's that nostalgia BS. You know what I'm saying? Don't let these nostalgia motherfuckers of my age group, even if they're immigrants or not, you know what I'm saying? Don't let that BS fool you. That's not true. Generation Y, what you call us millennials, I hate that term. That's a boomer term, by the way, that they coined. We should be called Generation Y because we're the smallest generation of all time. I don't think we're the biggest. I think we're the smallest because Gen Z, a lot of say it started in 1997, but technically it started in 1995 because they didn't get to see 94 and early 90s. They had to ask people my age, what was it like in the 90s? Because you wasn't around. You was a baby with a dirty damn diaper. That's all you knew. You knew the late 90s because 19 people born in 95 has a Gen Z mindset. They don't have our mindset. And that's why you got to stay away from people like that. They're the modern day late 20s and 30s, they're gonna be in their 30s, and they're not gonna help the future. You can't be dumb in this era. I see right through them, and that's the problem with people today. You know, people my age ain't shit. They done been defeated. Some of them are decent, the rest of them ain't shit. But then you got these casual niggas like Hokage and them. Like he's, I pissed off a lot of community. I heard him hours ago, and like this new daylight saving time, everybody's gonna have these heart diseases, and then there they are in the ground. But this dude Hokage, man, he be acting like a know-it-all, but he's a clown, bro. He be lying about what's going on. Microsoft, yeah, they're the kings because they got the best software system of all time. But and plus, they're gonna make better games. Single player games is where it's at. They don't care about multiplayer. They got, that's why they got crossplay. And he said Sony has the best thing in the world. No, it ain't. You can't trust Sony either. Sony's way worse. See, that guy that I listen to, this guy's a shield. I'm not even subscribed to him, but that boy's a shield, man. Everybody knows he's a corporate shield. I work alongside with corporations, but you're a fucking shield. You're a shield, a double agent, bro. Like, I'm not dissing or anything, but my goodness. My goodness. Y'all got to stop lying, bro. Y'all got to stop lying and quit being a bookie out here, man. And that's not what we do here. And that's not what we do here. Not dissing nobody, but I'm just saying, you gotta be mindful who you talking to, sir. They good people. No, they're not. They shit people. They shit people. You know what I'm saying? And that's the internet for you. The internet is of the beast, man. Like it's a beast world. People are barbaric nowadays. Y'all's president, y'all's God, done ruin everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't listen to a fake God that doesn't care about his own people. That's why y'all got that psyop war over there. I'm not dissing. It's facts. You know what I'm saying? But y'all got to understand that that's the world y'all live in. So I've been playing a lot. I've been playing my little entertainment there and there. And, it's just crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The late 90s, yeah, no disrespect, but I'm just saying, but y'all have that Gen Z mindset. Even though y'all may have a little bit of our mindset, like hand-me-down stuff dude was saying, but dude wants to pick on Gen Z. But dude, Gen Z, the sad part, they ain't perfect. They've been compromised from the start. Even the younger Gen Z are compromised. See, Gen Alpha's right now. If you have kids right now, they're Gen Alpha, and then you got betas on the cusp of the end, but Gamma's the future. They're going to clean all this shit up in the future and correct where the world's going to be. That's future generations. So now you get into the heart of the world. They may not be called gamma or beta. I saw this on the game on Dying Light with the three goons. They said alpha, beta, and gamma. That's based off generations. Because the next is a Gen Alpha, then they call it beta, and then they call it gamma, which is kind of strange, but that's how they're gonna call it in the future. It's insane, bro. Not dissing nobody, but I'm just saying it's ridiculous how people pick and choose what they want to hear and what to say. But I've been doing this shit for years. I've been content creating or should I say, doing YouTube stuff for years. I've been starting live streams since 2021 during the pandemic days, and them streams were amazing. Even the views. Appreciate people that subscribe at the time. Even the ones that unsubscribe, fuck them. They was here once, and I tossed them. But the ones that support and looked at my other shit, I talk about various of topics that I used to talk about and did real research. I do my research and I just go in there and just be me. I ain't trying to be super political on here or try to be a monetized whore on this platform. This platform ain't all that, man. Just get in here and get it and get out. So that's the whole point of being this type of content creator. But I hate the term content creator, but I have to use it in the context of the modern users that don't understand. People hate that term. You just back then you was been called a YouTube user or you just a person on YouTube. Well, when you hear the person use the word CC, aka content creation, it means they're fucking losers. What type of content is it? Bullshit. Yeah, your content gets leaked all the time, and then they want to play the copyright game, which is stupid. No one cares. That shit's dead, bro. Ain't nobody caring about that. And that's the problem nowadays. But you got people talking about this other shit. And let's talk about this T.I. shit and 50 Cent. They said most people have T.I. winning because he had better catalogs than 50, which he does. 50's biggest hits was really his first two albums. It was Get Rich, Die Trying and Massacre. Now, his TV shows are incredible. He's a hell of a troll. And he got his nickname from a guy that was a murderer that was 5 foot, and they got his ass at the end. If y'all saw documentaries, The Real 50 Cent, go find that on YouTube, and y'all know what happened. Most of you people from NY, y'all know, salute to y'all, but y'all know what happened. Y'all know the truth. But 50's a troll, though. Jaru said it on Math Hoffa's podcast and say he's a whole troll. And he said that. He confirmed that. And there's some truth to that. And I watched Ray Daniels break this down. He said T.I.'s got the best catalog. I live in the state of Georgia. I live outside of Atlanta. I used to live in Atlanta for decades. Started living outside of Atlanta in 2019 and now almost 20 years in Georgia. And he's right. He has the best catalog. Rubber Band is dated to modern drill music, and it's dated. Most drill music is crunk music. I try to tell people that. It all came from the South. That's why the Midwest had to get some swag, man. They had to get some swag. They had to get some swag. They had to get some swag. That's what it was. And it's just the truth. You know, people got to get some swag. They had to get some swag. They had to get some swag. But it is what it is, man. Like, you know, people do some weird shit. They do monster shit and they just go crazy. But live streaming is crazy, man. You just can't really deal with people's ignorance and what's going on. Yeah, I know it's 2:45. It's supposed to be 1:45 right now. See, this new time is gonna get people sick and they'll have all these diseases. And the first murder starts next week. I'm not saying the first murder starts next week, but it's that's how you know the new year is coming. It's somewhat of the new year. It don't really start till next week. That's when I get my physical next week. I hope I'll be all right. But you know, I'm focused on that now. Once I have that done, I'll be all right. So I'll be prepared for next week. It's a whole different ball game. It is what it is. Um, that's how I'm gonna look at it. But one thing I can say is crazy that I talk about all that, the drama, what's going online and offline every now and then. Talk about back in the days a little bit. I talk a little bit about on YouTube. It's crazy. But in the sports world community, in any platform in the internet, they was going to drive the 83-point thing home. And I think Bam, what he did is got us off that war. And that's impressive in the NBA. That's fun for those fans. The fans, the ones that are Kobe diehard Kobe fans, I mean, that's y'all. Y'all delusional. Y'all no different than LeBron fans. I always say Michael Jordan was the standard in the 90s. After that, they try to use Kobe. If Kobe didn't have those allegations, he'll be in that better stratosphere than Michael Jordan. You could say he's equivalent to that. But the difference is with Kobe is if he didn't get caught in that situation, y'all won't be saying the things you'd be saying. And Kobe was very consistent, and people appreciate Kobe being better than Mike. Now, I'm not saying he's better than Michael Jordan. He's not. But is he one of the greatest players I've seen? Yes. And let's talk about this GOAT debate with that small interview I've done saying. Shouts out to Two Raw and all them other brothers and Ticket TV for um, Mike exposing he didn't care about the GOAT conversation. Now, do I have my 5 greatest players? Yes. I said this: Kareem, Kobe, Magic, Michael, and Wilt. Those are my 3 greatest, top 5 greatest players of all time. But I have a long list. I may do that sometime in the future. I don't quote me. I won't promise you a thing. But if you ask me the top 10 or more than that, it's a lot. It's a long list. And right after Kareem, I got Bill Russell. It's a long list. I had to really research who was great back then and how great they were, and then I add some names. You know what I'm saying? That would take a long content stream. It'll take a long research to see what I can tell you in stat wise who was greater. And everybody, see, the media wants to get stuck with Kobe, LeBron, and Michael, which is stupid. What about the other players? I'm one of these types that deal with the old school and read shit and do real research, hard research, and go not just for the stats, but how they did it and watch the games. And you see what I'm talking about. I did too when I was growing up. I saw highlights of their shit, and even not even the highlights, but understanding what their game is. And I used to read about it, new stats and all that. So, see, I used to play ball back in the day. That's what people don't understand about me in this channel. I used to play basketball all my life and stopped playing it in 2015. That's about decades ago. And I was like 27 at the time. Okay, that's a long time ago. I'm like close to 40. I'm not 40 yet, but I'm close to it. But that's just a real deal. You got to look at this thing like basketball has changed so much. You can still play the old style, the mix of this modern 3-point era. You just got to play defense. It's a leg game now. It's a super duper leg game. You got to take care of your calves, your legs, your feet, and that's it. They love mentioning Kobe and LeBron. Yeah, they ignorant, man. They don't know shit about basketball. If you study the game and study the past, how great the other legends were, you appreciate basketball. See, at 9 years old till I was born in 88 to 9 years old, right, in 97, I had that mindset of Michael Jordan because I was so blinded about what basketball was as a kid. I was reading all the legends, yeah, loved the game, Michael and all that. But once I got to be 10 years old, I really studied the game. I was 10 years old in 98. And I really studied the game, who the fuck people were, and I dissect information, stats, you name it, defenses, teams that were pathetic. They haven't won nothing. And if you look at the era that Michael Jordan set, the 90s was a great era for many reasons. You had teams that were fantastically fun to fucking watch. Even the defense was unbelievable. Here's the thing about the 90s, though: opportunities to beat Michael Jordan and whoever, right? Elijah Williams snuck in and got 2 when Mike left, right? Knicks had a chance to win 2. The Spurs won in 99 with that short lockout season. That's because of Michael Jordan. If Mike Jordan wouldn't have retired, he would have got a 7 ring. And Dennis Rodman confirmed that in the interview with Joe Buck, and he broke that down in the Last Dance interview. But not only the interview with Joe Buck, the great announcer that's with his father in the Hall of Fame, whatever, does baseball, whatever, Joe Buck, that guy, right? And he mentioned that they was going to win a 7 championship. But here's the thing: ownership, Reinsdorf, and fucking the GM, the old GM they had, Krause, ruined the Bulls. And that's why you got that 99 lockout. And then all the teams eventually won. The Spurs were the favorite to come out the West. It was them, Portland. It was 3 favorites. It was really San Antonio, Utah, and Portland that year. And I'll tell you why. The Lakers was a strong 4th best. And then you had Seattle. You had a lot of good teams. But you got to remember, 99 was a great year. Even the lockout was great at the time. It was a short game. That's short. That's what people want. But really, nobody wants to go back to that. They prefer 82 because you got casuals won 82 games because they want to break the records. But think about it. the 90s was so great, and my sister was born uh in December of the 90s. She didn't get to see uh the finals in June in 99, right? She was born after the finals. So I'm saying if you was born after, you wouldn't understand. You get what I'm saying? Like I tell people that all the time because if you saw the highlights of that game or the actual game, you would know that the Spurs were a good team. They was gonna beat the Knicks. They had David Robinson, they had Tim Duncan. He got a championship in his second year in a lockout. Who would have thought? Now, Portland and Utah had a chance, right? But San Antonio was way better. Way better. Yeah, they had C Curve and everybody. Way better. That 99 championship was something else. It means something to San Antonio. I don't care what nobody say. I watched that series. I watched the whole playoffs all the way through on both coasts, and I watched the finals. And I picked the Spurs. I've been liking the Spurs since the 90s, man. Amazing. Even though I'm a Bulls guy, diehard Bulls fan, even though I love my Pistons more than my Bulls because I like them more for entertainment. But I like them now since the 21st century. Now I've been rocking Detroit for years, even the 90s, even though I'm a diehard Bulls because it's a mix between Michael and the legends in the past and the library books I've read. And I still like both teams. I have multiple teams I like, but the main team I always like watch the most is Detroit. So, it's not a Pistons channel, but I fuck with them. I like the whole culture of the Pistons. I say I can't get with the football team. I'm neutral on them, but the baseball team's okay. The city of Detroit's okay. But anyways, but when I look at what the 90s did, it set a plethora of teams winning championships in the next century. The Lakers won 3 straight. That's because of Phil Jackson, that system that he ran with Mike. That's how Shaq got elevated. See, they had Rodman that year too in 99. But the next year, he was gone. They went to a championship. So a lot of people try to say those were rigged. I don't think they were rigged. It's just what it was, man. It's that bull system and the officiating and shit like that. That's a different game. After that, people still bitching about that. No, Sacramento was good, but they just wasn't killers. And their biggest weakness was Chris Webber. I'm sorry, he's not a champion, bro. It is what it is. But then when you look at the rest of the 21st century, the Spurs won one in 03 and they won one in 05. That should have been Detroit's championship. Detroit won one in 04, and I salute that champion. I respect that even more. And they won one. The Spurs beat them in 05, which Tim Duncan, that game went to the wire. And 06 was the Miami Heat. So, yeah, it's a lot of windows. 07 was the Spurs again. Went back and won that. And the last time they won it was 2014. So it's been good. 08 was the Celtics. Culturally, they won that. And Kobe won the last two, 09 and 2010. In 2011, Dirk, I'm glad he won. He should have won in 06, me personally. Even though Miami deserved that win, that's their very first time. And then after that, 2012, Miami got the last two with Wade and all the others. And it's been amazing eras. That fast-paced basketball is good, but for the purists, they don't like it. I understand why, because we so used to look at stationary basketball, but they have to evolve, man. People don't care no more. It's about entertainment at this point. Now, I understand is the weakest finesse era. They did that for ratings. They did that for guys like LeBron. He kind of ruined it for the regular season, but the playoffs have always been fun every year. So it's been good. Basketball's going back to that thanks to Wemby. He's embarrassing people now. Now, they're a year off. I don't think they're 2 years off. I think they're a year off. But if he does something unbelievable, man, it's just incredible, man. He said, I respectfully disagreed in the 80s and all that. Well, Generation Y to me, if you talk about the 80s, I don't consider 1980 and 1984 Generation Y. They now I'll say this. I disagree with that. Yeah, just playing YouTuber. Okay, I'm gonna break this down. If he was born, if he was born 1984, they use the term. The boomers always want to use the stupid term millennial, which it don't exist. Anybody can call themselves a millennial. I hate it because Generation Y, to me, to be fair, if you really want to get close to age, it's really 85 to 94. We're the smallest, even though there was a lot of birth rates in '85, and there was a lot of birth rates after the crack era too, because there's a lot of babies born that R&B music. I forget the music in '88. My age group, it was a lot of us back then where I come from, and I'll tell you this about the story about when we went to school. I went to first grade twice, right? The age group we was, I think when we start school at 3 years old, everybody was on the same level. And we was projected to graduate at high school in the near future in 2006. Now, that's predictors. They were saying BS like that back in the day. Because at the time, they accidentally called us Gen Xers. But Gen Xers got 2 to 3 layers. I would say 2, but technically 3, because I could say like 81. Some people try to say 1980. But to be fair, they're both. They can be us, but sometimes they got to be Gen X. They have a Gen X mindset. I'm sorry. People that's born 1984 and on up, they have a Gen X mindset. And the reason I say that, because they could be part of Generation Y. They could be both, but they also, you got to give them the credit. They did see the 80s and they did see the 90s too, because they have a leg up on me. See, me, if you're born in the late 80s or mid 80s, late 80s, I would consider you modern day, what they would call millennials, which I call them Generation Y, because they are the smallest. Even though we had the largest birth rate in '88. I don't know if it was the largest, but it depends on where you at, where you're from, because it was a lot of kids, and a lot of kids got held back because too many kids. They didn't want to know who was going to graduate, and that's why. And I passed the first grade twice. I was held back the first year. We had the biggest fucking class I'll never get, and most of them niggas ain't shit now. But I graduated in '07. I was supposed to graduate the year before that. So yeah, I strongly disagree with that now, because most people born in the early '90s, I consider them us too, because they did get to see I say if he was born early now, I say like 90 to 93. You did get to see 1994 and 95 and the rest of the 90s. They could say it a little bit, but deep down, they didn't get to see the early 90s too. But they are considered Generation Y as well, because the cutoff is 94, even though they can claim all types of things. But Gen Z to me is 1995 and now. Not now, but I say the kids are Gen Alpha now, but Gen Z is large. It's, I could say 95 to '04. I could say '05 to 2014, because y'all been around the internet for way too long as children. So y'all grew up in the iPad era. You see, y'all want to have that conversation. I'll kill y'all on that, because one, y'all can claim these and these all day, but some people can disagree and say, Generation Y, yeah, 50 is just a more iconic name. Yeah, yeah. That's because he got it from a street dude. That's why he's so popular. Even though he had 2 best albums. Now, I wish he made more albums. Now, he had some good features, but he ain't better than T.I. when it comes to albums. T.I. made bangers and bangers. I'm not a T.I. fan like I used to, but ever since that incident, but the people got on people that was pro 50 didn't understand 50's a troll. He's making his name. His name is going to be like that the day he's died. And like I said, he's arrogant and things like that. Some people say he ain't, but he is. That's a Queens thing. Shout out to my Queens family up there, because I got some family in Queens, an uncle up there. They fuck with him. There's people that fuck with 50 down here. We ain't taking nothing away from him. He's got great TV shows, got money. He know what to do, and 50 don't care. But people are so wrong that T.I.'s got the better music catalog. He's more dated to this generation that loves trap music, aka crunk music, aka drill music. This is their guy of the past they will listen to. You got to remember, at the time, according to drill music's top 5 cities, this was quoted in 2019 by Game 101 magazine. That's according to them. Now it's probably a little different, but back then they said, was it the Bay Area, Chi-Town, New York, the 5 boroughs, all New York, listen to drill music, right? He said the borough, New York, the 5 boroughs of New York, Chicago, Atlanta, and I'm missing something. The Bay Area, Oakland, Bay Area, because they fuck with that drill music too on the low. They mix with their culture and that, and then Dallas, and I got that from a YouTube video. The guy broke it down and talking about in drill music. He ain't saying just hip hop, but he's saying in drill music style of rap, like a lot of people don't like. And the reason, salute. And the reason he said that, and I saw this on YouTube, I said, why is it top 5? Because there's a reason for it. Because a lot of people like the shit when the song gets hot. And I think there was somebody Yellow Beezy, he kind of fell off, but That's why Dallas is one of the toughest places to do music in general, not just hip hop, but the toughest places to get put on. And the Cottonmouth with the K guy broke it down. Even the guy that interviewed him told him, "You got to be put on know some DJs, and they don't want to hear no complaints. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. Just like I give you an example. If you make it there, you can make it anywhere. Even if a New York guy puts you on, they fuck with that music in the club. Like it's when I look at Ti 50 that's what it reminds me of. This is a top five market issue. They ain't gonna respect the South like that. I give people that. True, because Atlanta, right? All Southerners are not like that. But when it comes to Atlanta, they're like everybody else. If you look at the population of people, you be like, well, damn, they got everybody from Far East, West Coast, and everything. Yeah, because you got a lot of transplants here. And this is where a lot of money is too. Now that Magic City thing, Adam Silver was desperate. They shut that down. They're gonna bring that back. Me personally, they're gonna bring that back. And people ask me about that. They're gonna bring that back. I don't trust Adam Silver. Look, the gambling thing's out of hand. Now they worrying about the 83 points with Bam. Everybody's crying about that. Stop crying. This is the modern NBA that LeBron and Steph and KD created. Wemby's gonna probably do the same thing. They're all gonna look at Bam's game. I bet you Wemby and all them guys gonna do the same thing that Bam did. Try to break his shit. What's what I tell you? They'll try to do it. They'll try to do it. And they'll do it in a way if teams don't play defense. Think about it. Can you imagine? That could be anybody. Anthony, it could be any of them. I'm talking about these young players right behind us. See, you got to understand the 90s was so pure when it comes to basketball. The talent level was there. It's just the 21st century, you have all types of, and that's why you see a lot of one and dones, um, different champions in this era, the 2020s. I would say like the parody era, it reminds you of the 70s, 80s a little bit. That's what you're getting now. But it's going to go back to the 2000s that teams dominate now. Amazing, ain't it? See, they're sick of LeBron and his little usage, and they try to say he's taking drugs, enhancers. But we gotta see the proof if he get caught. If he does get caught and it comes out, everybody's gonna talk about it. It's he likes to be talked about. It's just insane. But it is what it is. But yeah, it's been an hour and 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Okay. So it's been a lot to talk about. Yeah, we talked about Bam today. We talked about a little bit about the internet drama, streamers being lame as hell and whatever, whatnot. I'm just looking at it from like this. I look at this stuff and I say, what can people do in a situation like the world? Right. Um, Great distraction with the 83 points. I mean, I'm enjoying it. Like when people get upset about the 83-point issue, I look at it like this. Bam, what he did is got everybody's eyeballs attention. And it was on League Pass. You can watch it, you can launch it, whatever. But you got to remember, this is an era of a finesse league. And we see this stuff all the time, and we just do what we do. And that's just what it is. And I'm just like, you know, I didn't call you. Yeah, some weirdo trying to do my shit. Yeah. I had to get that weirdo out of here, man, because I ain't call you. What you doing? I probably was talking, was streaming. I didn't know they jumped in my game. I'm online playing Dying Light 2. That's upgrade, but the new game, the Beast, is crazy. But you got these weirdos trying to jump in the co-op game. I don't even mess with. Yeah, there's a lot of weirdos on the internet. I try to tell y'all, bro. It's crazy. They're trying to dictate the game, man. Get out of here. Who is you, you bum? But anyways, that's how it is on the internet, man. Like people are crazy, man. You're doing something and you just can't do nothing with these fools, bro. I see it all the time, bro. See it all the time. It's insane. It's insane. And but that's what you're dealing with, man. But I've been chilling, man. But this I had to talk about the 83-point game, man. That game is incredible. It was kind of like a video game. And a lot of people try to say he get it from stat pattern. And I'm like, dude, it's just what it is, bro. I'm just like crazy, like this stuff right here, man. Yeah, these people get on my nerves every time I try to stream and they try to do some shit. Can't deal with these idiots, bro. Non shooting assholes and then doing weird shit like this. And I hate when people try to dictate. That's why I hate co-ops online. Even though Xbox is thriving in certain areas. Some people say it's failing because of the new ownership. Well, they needed a change. You know, sometimes it's not them. It's these casuals be hating on the game, bro. That's why I hate casuals in general on the internet because they ruined everything that we enjoy. And you see it online. You see in these so-called red pill spaces. That's why it's dead. It's not a real red pill space. It's a joke. That's why they need to be eliminated, bro. And then y'all voted for this idiot, even though he was put there by billionaires, and y'all fuck with him. And he don't give a fuck about y'all. He's food, bro. I'll tell you that right now. He's food. Anything he does is food behavior. And he's out of there. I don't see him making it past the next 2 years because it's over. Because what he did is going to be skirmishes forever. And they said, we will never get a woman president. Yes, it will. We'll get one. And do not be surprised. It ain't going to be the same one. It'll be somebody different. Get out of here. Bye. All right. Bunch of idiots, man. So with that, shouts out to everybody, to Leonard, Khalil, and Degenerate. Salute to y'all, man. It's been real, man. I had to talk about these points. These fools crying on in the sports world and a lot of shit, man. I'll be back the Wednesday after, not the next one, but Wednesday after, and we're gonna talk about some real things, and we'll discuss about. Shouts out to 9 to 5 podcast. He's been on a roll with his takes on old girl. We're gonna expound on that probably the Wednesday after next. So shalom to the people of Israel, until the Gentiles, until next time. I'm signing off and I'm out.